All right, let's take a look at Connor's big
too.
board. Top wide receivers and tight ends. The aforementioned Tyler Warren, Ted McMillan, Mecca Egbuka. And then the first guy we're going to talk about, Colston Loveland, tight end out of Michigan. And I think one of the most interesting things here, Connor, is how do you adjust him based on his quarterback play the previous year?
That's a great question, Jay. And teams here, the more and more people I talk to, they're looking at that as just a problem that nobody could fix. Colston Loveland, I think, is going to go in the top 15 of this draft. For context, a month ago, last mock draft I wrote, I had him 25th to the Chargers, reunited with his old coach in Harbaugh.
Yeah.
Just that the world's just not happening anymore, right? I look maybe the Broncos at 20 are the floor. Loveland is just so good in the pass game. He's got maybe some of the best hands in the draft. So good when the play breaks down, working with his quarterback. Smooth route runner, knows how to get open. Pretty good size overall at the position. Not as big as Tyler Warren, but good enough size. Loveland's going to be a first-round pick, and it's probably going to be the top half of round one. So he will be a big talking point in fantasy because he actually has just as much pass-catching upside as Warren.
Wow.
Yeah, and the good thing about him, they run plays with him, kind of like how they run with Dallas Goedert, except Loveland is more athletic, more shifty with the ball in his hands. So definitely once we see what team is, Connor, you say he'll go in the top 15. There's teams there like the Panthers, the Saints, who will need a new tight end. So all those teams in that middle of the first round, maybe even the Bears too, could be in play for him and Tyler Warren. So looking forward to seeing that.
This feels like the most loaded tight end has been in a while. Just when you factor in the existing guys in Bowers, McBride, Laporta, Kittle, Travis Kelce at this rate is going to be towards the bottom of the top 10 with news that he is coming back.
By the way, one of the rumors I heard, again, my NFL rumors column will be coming out next year, but one of the rumors I heard, can't substantiate this at all, was that Mark Andrews might be on a new team next year, that the Ravens might be moving on from Mark Andrews, in which case Isaiah Likely would suddenly, if you knew Mark Andrews wasn't playing for the Ravens next year, Isaiah Likely's an easy top 10 fantasy tight end, right?
Kelsey.
I'd go even higher, probably.
Right?
10,
right. And then you've got Njoku, and like I know it was a disappointing season for Jake Ferguson, but I still believe in him, right? I mean, like I agree with you. And by the way, Dalton Kincaid, who had that great second half of his rookie year, and then last year sort of fell off, but can he rebound? Oh, by the way, T.J. Hawkinson's going to be a full year removed from his injury, right? And you'll see who's going to be throwing the ball, but like.
You got to factor in Warren and Loveland.
Yeah.
When two guys get taken in the top 15 to 20 picks in the draft, that's a big
and
factor.
that was my thing about Brock Bowers. It's like he's taken 13th and he's this good. Like, run with that. That's good enough. Now, I ask you this, Connor, about Colston Loveland. We talk about Tyler Warren. He'll probably be on the field every play.
Yes.
The Colston Loveland, not as, known as being a blocker, strictly a receiver. So what do you think his snaps will look like?
That's a great question. I guess it depends where he goes and what kind of tight end they have. You brought up the Bears, Lawrence. Obviously, then you're sharing a little bit. You better hope they're very heavy in 12 personnel. But I think his usage could be similar to what we saw when Kincaid got drafted by the Bills. They still like Dawson Knox, especially on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah,
so you want that usage in 12 personnel. Or if you're in 11, can he play the slot? He can. So the usage will be enough that he's a starting tight end in fantasy. But it's a key point, Lawrence, what separates Warren from the pack.
I also wonder if somebody like Loveland, again, we'll see where he lands, but if somebody like Loveland gets actually overdrafted in fantasy because of the Brock Bowers effect, right?
I thought about that with Warren.
Right. I mean, and possibly with Warren as well, because even though they're brilliant, like Kincaid's rookie year was like fine. You know what I mean? Like think about Kyle Pitts. Think about Noah Fant.
We've been burned a lot.
Think about Noah
O.J. Howard.
Fant. O.J. Howard. No, I'm just saying. Think about.
Don't mention his name.
No, but think about guys tight ends that also were drafted in the first round that had high draft capital that we were like, this guy's awesome. You know what I mean? And like, to me, Pitts is the most glaring example, but top 5 overall pick, and it just hasn't happened for him. And that was a guy that was described as generational as well. But again, like I think back to Noah Fant. I think about we're still waiting on Kincaid as to, jury is still sort of out there on him, and
I haven't given up on Noah Fant yet. Still
you not?
Still like the flashes. That's probably not going to happen at this point.
Flash on, brother.
Yeah. Right.
Let's jump to.
And it took Hawkinson a while. Like Hawkinson's rookie year wasn't much fantasy wise.
Yeah, and they eventually, even traded him as good as he was.
Correct.
So.
Let's
within
jump
the
to
division.
Missouri wide receiver Luther Burden the third, who's 24th on your big board. Connor, third wide receiver. You had him mocked previously to the Broncos at 20. What's his scope to be immediate impact?
Yeah, I said Loveland, I think, goes a lot earlier than my previous mock draft. Burden, I think, slides a little bit. And this is a really, really interesting player. He is so good after the catch. I like his work best in the slot. I think the quarterback play really, really hurt him this year in this offense. But I think at the end of the day, you just have to wonder, is he somebody that'll get to play on the outside at the next level? Why didn't the numbers click this year, even though, there was obviously some times where he's a little banged up. There's times where the quarterback didn't get him the ball. But Lawrence, to me, I don't even know if it's his fault as much as the numbers went down. But Tet McMillan had a big year. I like Emeka Egbuka a lot. Matthew Golden from Texas is on his heels. Like, the class started to catch up to Luther Burden.
Yeah, they just got another receiver involved. And when you talk about him playing on the outside, he did that as a sophomore. Like, that's where those big plays came from. He was on the outside. They were deep balls, and the quarterback was putting it there last year. This season, when he did make a play, it was more catch and run, get the ball on the screen, get it intermediate, take it to the house. So you still know he could make plays. The numbers just wasn't there. So it'll be interesting to see how far that slide goes.
To your point, though, I mean, the Broncos, basically bottom 12 in the NFL in terms of receiving yards from the slot. So if they feel like he can play there,
awesome fit.
Seems like an awesome fit, right? And that makes a lot of sense. I know that's where you have him currently mocked.
Yep. Last two guys before we hit a break. Iowa State wide receiver Jaden Higgins and then Texas wide receiver Matthew Golden. What's their scope to be different makers day one?
Yeah, with Higgins, the perimeter ability. He's big. He's 6'4". He moves really well. He tracks the ball. He's caught a ton of touchdowns over the previous years. He sees the ball in so well. He's physical. I mean, he's a true outside wide receiver that also played in the slot at Iowa State and was really productive. I thought he was pretty dominant at the Senior Bowl practices. And when you look at Golden, he's not going to be the most athletic guy, but he's so nuanced in his routes and his timing, and he catches everything. You watch him in that Texas offense, especially throughout the college playoff. This is somebody that was kind of the go-to guy for Quinn Ewers when everybody thought it would be Isaiah Bond, Lawrence, because of the speed.
Definitely.
And Matthew Golden kind of came out of nowhere and was the go-to target where – can you see a little bit of a Monra in him where it's like, hey, he's never the biggest or the fastest, but he's so detailed in everything he does.
When he gets behind the DB, it's not necessarily because he's a burner like Isaiah Bond. It's just that he know how to control his speed and he knows how to work at the top of his routes and get the DBs on their heels. So he's a smart player. So it'll be interesting to see where he goes.
Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotorWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest RotoWorld fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.